was a really simple mistake to make and easily understood. And I'd gone to the airport, I'd turned over my luggage to the baggage claim people, and in the days before barcodes, what they'd done is written GDL on my luggage tag. And I didn't understand or appreciate at that moment the confusion that could occur when the airport code GDL was misinterpreted as CDL. And so it was that I went on a week-long business trip to Guadalajara while my luggage went to Paris. I boarded the flight and made my way. And by the way, I was extremely excited about this week in front of me. I had just started a new job. I had taken over a role as a credit and collections manager for our organization in North and South America. And for the first time, I was flying down to Guadalajara to meet the Mexican credit and collections team. And we had a series of meetings set up, and I was really looking forward to it and wanted to make a great impression. But I also had a lot of anxiety. I clearly wanted to be someone other than, you've heard the story, I'm from corporate and I'm here to help. I didn't want to be that guy. And I was also really nervous about my Spanish language skills. In spite of the heroic efforts of my 9th and 10th grade Spanish teacher, Dr. Hollow, I'd been an unrepentant and consistent C- Spanish student and was really feeling very exposed about the trip to Guadalajara. But I'd gotten there and the first, I did all the things that you would expect I would do. I filled out the lost luggage forms, and then I met Carlos. Carlos was our country general manager, and he was going to be my host for the week, and as it turned out, my savior. And so I explained to Carlos that my luggage had gotten lost, and he took me on my hotel. And the next morning, I woke up and I started the routine that I was going to then follow for the as it turned out, the rest of the week. I would wake up, I would call the front desk, and I'd say, "Has my luggage arrived yet?" And every morning the answer was the same: "I'm sorry, Mr. Mills, but your luggage has not arrived." So the first morning this has happened, Carlos is fantastic. We're thinking that it's a temporary thing. He takes me out to get some really basic necessities: deodorant, toothpaste, razors, these kinds of things. And we went on to have our meeting. And then the next morning, I tell Carlos, again, I got the same answer: my luggage hasn't arrived yet. So at this point, he's starting to laugh along with me at this and says, "Well, I think maybe we need to go get you some other things, like some underwear and socks and maybe a different shirt." So he took me shopping. We went out and I picked up a few things. And then for the balance of the meetings, the meetings were terrific. The work part of the week was just great. But they were all starting to make fun of me because the clothes that I was wearing, as I quickly realized, 6'3" is not a common size in Mexico. So my shirt sleeves are coming well up onto my forearms, and I really don't fit anything all that terribly well. But the week has gone on well, and towards the end of the week, the Mexican hosts, along with one American expatriate that was there, took us out for dinner on our last night. And we went to just a terrific steakhouse, and I realized that the steaks in Latin America are tremendous. And I got this wonderful steak served in front of me, and it was garnished, and I plowed through the steak. It was fantastic. And there'd been a pepper that had been sitting on top of the steak that I knew wasn't a jalapeno, so I stupidly wasn't that worried about it. So I cut the pepper in half and immediately put the entire thing into my mouth. And all these guys, I knew right away I'd made a terrible mistake because everybody at the table that was local, their eyes were the size of manhole covers. And one of the gentlemen from across the table said, "Do you know what you just ate?" And I said, I tried to act like it's no big deal, I can handle this. But within seconds, I'm realizing that I'm turning into one of those Warner Brother cartoon characters where steam is about to come bursting from my ears. and my head's going to burst into flames. So I am doing my best in Spanish to let the waiter know that I need a nonstop stream of Coke and 7-Up and whatever it is that's going to put the fire out that's going on in my digestive system. So they have a terrific laugh at my expense. We wrap up dinner, we get in the car to head back to the hotel, and the American expat is driving. And about 2 miles from the restaurant, we get pulled over by the Mexican police. And the Mexican police immediately make the point to the driver that we'd run a red light. Well, there hadn't been a red light since we left the restaurant. And so the American expat is starting to argue with the police about this, and Carlos in the seat next to me is telling him to shut up and listen to him, do whatever he says to do. So this goes on for a few more minutes, and Carlos next to me is getting into a rage and sounds like he's about to burst into tears. We ended up paying that cop about $300, to be on our way. And as the cop drove away, Carlos lost it and is telling the American expat through a mix of English and Spanish, swearing that he really needs to understand the culture and be more open and sensitive to what's going on around him. So we survived. We headed on back to the hotel. I flew on home the next day. And as I got to the house, my wife, about 10 feet before I got to her, says, "Oh my God, what are you wearing?" Well, the deodorant that I bought in Mexico apparently is infused with brute cologne, and she could smell me from 20 feet away. And as I reflected on my week of what had turned out to be terrific in so many respects, there was an awful lot of pressure that had been built into it. And what I took away from it was a handful of things, right? The value and the pressure that come hand in hand with the role, but also formed some terrific friendships, developed an awesome amount of cultural sensitivity, and a deep, deep appreciation for unscented deodorant.